Hi, we're going to do a quick little tutorial on how to make the Lovie scent gloss for parents in the NICU. So first what you're going to do is use 100% cotton fabric. So this is some flannel. This is a flannel fabric. This is the right side and this is the wrong side. So the bright colors, the soft fuzzy part is the right side. So you're going to fold it in half. You're going to, not in half, but you're going to fold it so that this heart will fit. Your instructions have the heart on the back that you can cut out. I cut mine out of a little bit of lightweight cardboard so that it traces easier. I did this before, so you see that I'd already traced one here, but you basically are just going to lay it down and trace it with a pen. A regular pen works fine. You don't want to use a felt pen or a Sharpie because those can bleed, but you just go around the edge with this. And then you're going to put a pin in the center of your heart. Sometimes your pen needs to write off somewhere, but you trace it, then you're going to take one pin and stick it in the center of each of the hearts you trace. That holds the two sides together so that when you're cutting them out, they're going to be exactly together the way that they're meant to be. So here's one I set up earlier. You can do multiple ones at a time, and then you're just going to cut them out, and you end up with something like this. Then you're going to put a few pins on the edges like this to hold it together so it's easier, you're not worried about it coming apart. And then we'll go to the sewing machine. You leave them the right sides together just like this, and we'll go to the sewing machine and I'll show you how to sew it. Here we are at the sewing machine. You're going to use just a regular straight stitch. I have it pinned a few times. What you're going to do is you're going to start about 1 inch from the point. So I'm going to put my little presser foot down here. You're going to do about a 1/4 inch seam. It's not a big deal. A little bit bigger is better than smaller because you don't want to not catch the fabric and have it ravel. When you get down to the point, you leave the needle down, you pick up your presser foot and you turn it. Now we're going to go up this side. If you have your pins in there, you want to be slow going over the pins so that you don't break your needle. You can take your pins out as you get to them if you want, and if you have problems, if you just lift up and move that a little bit, it often helps, okay? You just kind of use your hands to guide it and just turn it as you go. I got a little close there, so I picked it up and I moved it over to the edge a little bit. Now I'm going to go down. When you want to get a few stitches down into this point, and then you're going to turn it and pivot the fabric and come back up toward the other point, okay? Going around the curve here. These don't have to be perfect, they just have to lie flat, and they're pretty much always look cute, so don't worry if it's not a perfect seam. Oops, see, look at, I went right off the edge. So I'm going to pick up my needle, I'm going to come back a little bit, and I'm going to start over here again. I'm going to start where, there we go, and I think that pen was getting stuck on it. And I kind of marked a pin where I wanted to stop. You want to have enough room that you can turn it back inside out without having it cause you any problem. So that's it. I'm going to take it off the machine here and take out my pins. Just 1 second, okay? Are you off? Or not? This one is done in blue thread. It just happened to be what was on the machine, so I picked a blue fabric. But most of them I just do in white thread, and they look just fine no matter what the color is. So once you get it off of it, what you're going to do is you want to clip the seams a little bit. So what you do is you use a sharp little pair of scissors and you clip straight toward the seam, but you want to make sure you don't go and cut your thread seam there. So you just kind of do little tiny cuts like this. Especially on the curves, I'm pretty close to that edge. Oh, see here? I'm going to have to sew that one again. So just 1 second. I'm going to go back here. If you get too close to one of the sides, it'll unravel. So there you go. I'll fix that one. Okay, sorry. Lost my place. So you're going to clip these curves toward the seam. You don't want to do it where you haven't sewn, so you just start on the other side of that. And when you get to the middle here where it dents in, you want to go straight down toward it, because that'll make it turn easier. Okay, so that part you didn't sew, what you're going to do is you're going to use that to flip it inside out. So you just kind of start shoving it in there with your fingers, and then once it gets starting to turn, you can use your finger to smooth out the seam from the inside. Okay, so you just do this. Until you get it fairly smooth and even. If you want it to be really pointy at the bottom, you can take a pin and pull that seam like this a little bit. You pull just a little bit like this, and it moves that point out a little bit. Otherwise, then once you have it good enough, what you're going to do is turn this part that you didn't sew so you could turn it. You're going to turn the little edges under just a little bit so they're kind of even with this, with the seam that you already have. And you might have to fuss with it a little bit because sometimes they're not very even. And you can pin it if you want to hold those in place. I tend not to pin a whole lot because I'm lazy. So then you're going to start above where you need it, and you're going to sew about 1/8 to 1/4 inch all the way around, catching the seam that you that piece that wasn't sewn. You catch that inside so that it'll be all nice and neat. When you get down to the bottom, you pivot, and then you start up this side. If you get too close to the edge and it's bunching like that, just pick up your foot and then start again. If it does it a lot, you're probably too close to the edge, and you can come in a little bit. You don't want it to be too far in, because then it won't lie as flat. Putting this top stitch on it that helps it to lay flat and not to come apart in the middle. But you can see if you get too close, you just lift that up. When I get down here, I'm going to pivot and come back up. And you're going to get back to where you started in a second here. And when you're back to where you started, you want to overlap it just a few stitches, and then back stitch a couple stitches, and then you're going to take out your pins, and you're finished, and you have a sweet little Lovie. You clip off all these extra little threads that were at the beginning and end, and then this one got stuck in the seam up here. You can just clip it up there too. And there's your finished little Lovie. Nice and flat. Here's some other ones that we did. This is the first try we did at making this video. These are some other ones that my mom and I did. You can see they don't have to be perfect to be fine. They're very cute little things. The families will love them. They will really appreciate any ones that you can do. So if you can make sure that both sides are the same fabric. We like to put sets of 4 together, but really as many as we get, we'll just make sets of them. So I hope this works out for you, and I hope we see some little Lovies coming from you to us. Thanks.